Okay, welcome back. So if you recall, last time we spoke about the meaning of semantics, and we said that semantics is the study of meaning in human language. Now let's focus on this part of the definition for today. So semantics is a study. So what is it a study of? Semantics, being a study, is part of a larger study called linguistics. Now, in any study or any discipline of study, you have theories. So, for example, in physics, you have theories that explain things. So, generally speaking, a science requires a theory to explain things. Now, given that linguistics is the science of human language, this means that linguistics itself would require its own set of theories, just like any other science. So then our goal is to develop a theory of semantics. So what's our first step in working out a theory of semantics? Well, first of all, we want to ask ourselves, what phenomena do we want our theory to explain? So of course, first we need to know what issues we have in the field of semantics that require an explanation. This is where our theory of semantics would come in and help us out. Okay, so a theory of semantics must seek to explain what we call productivity. Okay, so what is productivity? Well, this comes from the word produce. But what exactly are we producing here? Well, we are producing new or novel meaning. Let's see an example scenario. In the sentence, the ugly man saw Mary and her cat that was next to a bat jump over the planet Venus. This is a very weird sentence indeed. I highly doubt that any of you have ever heard this sentence before. And I highly doubt that I've ever produced this sentence before. So the main question we need to ask ourselves here is, did I or you ever hear this type of meaning before? What I mean is, since neither of us have ever heard this sentence, and this sentence has its own meaning, how were we able to create it and how were we able to understand it? So going back to language acquisition theories, there is the behaviorist theory, which suggests that we imitate language, and that's how we learn language. But the fact of the matter is, no one has ever uttered this sentence before, and that basically means that I have not imitated it from anyone. I actually created new or novel meaning, and these mean the same thing, by the way. So in essence, I was able to produce new meaning. But how? How was I able to do that? This phenomena is known as productivity. It's a natural phenomena found in natural languages. So the guiding principle that we use to explain productivity is something we call the principle of compositionality. So what is the principle of compositionality? Basically, it states that the meaning of a sentence is a function of the meaning of its component words and how they are combined. So let's take an example from mathematics, for example. The result 4 can be arrived at by combining 2 plus 2. Now we want to do something similar in language. When I say Bob ate the apple, this sentence surely has meaning that we understood. How did we arrive at this meaning? Well, we took the meaning of Bob, let's say this is called M1, and the meaning of ate, M2, and the meaning of the, M3, and the meaning of apple, M4, and now we not only want the individual meanings, but we want to see how they combine together. So we know that the meaning of the and apple combine together. M3 plus M4 give me M5. I know that 8 or M2 plus M5 in syntax give me the verb phrase. Let's call this M6. I know that my meaning, or M7, is equal to M6 plus M1. So this is how I arrive at the meaning. I combine the component parts, I combine the meaning of each and every word, and I take into consideration how these words combine together to form the final meaning that we have here. So let's put this into another example. The meaning of a sentence like I love coffee can be arrived at by following the principle of compositionality, which basically means that we need to look at the individual parts of this word, of this sentence, which are the words, right? And then combine them together and take into consideration when we're combining them how they should be combined. So I can't just combine I with coffee with love. What I need to do is take into consideration how they should be combined. So love must combine with coffee first, and then I can combine with the result of love and coffee. So it's kind of similar to math. Okay, let's take an example to see why we have to take into consideration how they are combined and not just to randomly combine any word we have in a sentence. Take an example from math, okay? 10 divided by 5 times 2. What does this equal? Well, to know that, it depends on how we combine these things together. So let's start just by taking it this way. So let's see, 10 divided by 5 equals 2. And then we're going to add in the last part, times 2 equals 4. But what if we do it this way instead? So we'd end up with 10 divided by 5 times 2. So what we're going to do is first come up with this result, which is 10. 5 times 2 is 10. Now we end up with 10 divided by 10, which equals 1. So you see the difference here? Big difference between 1 and 4. And the way meaning works in language is exactly the same. So that is the basic idea behind the principle of compositionality. So just like we said in this slide, you cannot just combine the meaning of Bob with the meaning of 8, with the meaning of with the meaning of apple blindly without taking into consideration the syntax or how it combines. So syntax and semantics are very closely related fields. One branch of linguistics is called Semantical Syntax, which is basically a merger of semantics and syntax. The way this works is that usually you have syntax first, and after you have the syntax, meaning can build up on top of syntax. Okay, great. So now we know what the principle of compositionality is. But will this be enough? That'll be our topic for next lecture.